You're listening to episode 72.
Ah.
That's right. Of Fresh Floppies. Is that what we're doing right now?
Fresh Floppies. That's the one.
Okay.
It's hard to keep track of all the shows.
Thank you.
Would you be everything I wanted and a lover and an accomplice? Could you be her? Would you feel together and inebriated, enabling of a fable we were never meant to be, but together?
What's up to all our sidekicks and henchmen out there in the Geek Nation? You're currently listening to Fresh Floppies, but you already knew that because you clicked the thing and now you're listening to it.
Yeah.
I'm JD of Johnny Destructo's Hero Complex.
Favorite shop.
Oh, yeah. Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
Favorite comic book store?
Not biased whatsoever.
And it's in Manayunk, Philadelphia. Come buy my stuff. Fresh Floppies is a show where Noel
Me.
and I discuss the books of the week. So Wednesday is New Comic Book Day every week, and we jam in a bunch of comics ahead of time so that we can tell you our thoughts before you go to the comic shop on Wednesday. Sans spoilers. So no spoilers. Don't worry about that. What's first, Noel?
We're going to talk about one of the hottest launches in 2024 of all comics.
I mean, yeah, kind of, right?
One of the hyperbole is appropriate.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about Absolute Wonder Woman #1, part of the
All in.
DC All In initiative. The one half of that initiative are these relaunched Absolute books, which is basically DC's Ultimate Universe.
Yeah.
We talked about Batman. We both liked it. I liked it a little bit more than you did, probably.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah. I think so.
I was really surprised by how much I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, oh.
Yeah, so like if we started at different baselines,
That's true.
But we moved in the same fashion.
That's true.
I'm
You're
still
slightly
like
ahead of me. Yeah.
And now the second one came from Kelly Thompson and Hayden Sherman. Kelly Thompson, one of our favorites.
I love Kelly Thompson.
I'm assuming you had no idea who the fudge Hayden Sherman is.
You are correct.
I just recently read one of their books. Dark Spaces.
Right.
With Scott Snyder.
Yeah.
Fire Country?
Sure.
Firefighters?
You bet.
Basically, it was a group of female felon firefighters
Female felon firefighters.
Who during a forest fire decide to...
Wildfire?
Yes. Yeah, that's what it's called, wildfire. Yeah. During a wildfire, they decide to rob a secluded mansion in the forest.
Okay, that's cool.
It's really, really good.
Dang it.
Really, really good. But what I noticed the most about Sherman's work was that it was like a rounder, sketchier, almost Gabriel Walta version of incredibly intricate panel work. Like there are sequences in Wildfire where it's, I don't know, 200 small panels across both spreads of like facial expressions and stuff.
Wow.
So like very, very intricate work, but the line work is thicker. It's not super detailed. So I was very interested in what their, I'm saying they because I don't know what their gender is.
Yeah.
I was very interested to see how they would handle a superhero book.
Yeah.
And I found myself very pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, man.
I loved this book.
Yeah.
I loved
this was fun. It has hints of the way that Cliff Chiang drew his Wonder Woman during the Azzarello run.
It's grittier though. It's like a little.
It's definitely dirtier. For
yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a
pejorative.
No, not in a pejorative at all. It's just it has a sheen to it that Cliff Chiang's work, which we'll talk about later, is typically smoother. Like it's brighter. It's you don't if he was working with a canvas, you wouldn't see the brush strokes. Here you see the textures and the brush strokes, which I love. Anyway,
What'd you think of the story?
I thought it was dope.
Yeah.
No spoilers. The idea of her legitimately being the last Amazon and the details of her youth, which we spend a very, very good part of in this book.
Yeah.
And they call on. So I'm not super deep into Wonder Woman lore aside from 2 or 3 runs.
Yeah.
So some of the characters that they name check or include vaguely familiar with them,
Yeah.
but not enough to know how much of a departure, or if any, that this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how
Same.
you feel.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Like how she was raised, who she was raised by. There are some absolutely beautiful double page spreads.
That's you're showing it. It's awesome.
It's
Showing
just
the
a really,
passage of time.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a really slick passage of time, and it goes on a lot longer than I thought it would, in a good way. Mm-hmm. The creature design is dope as hell. Yeah. Her design is wonderful.
Ha.
And then Sherman, I guess, just decided to like, hey, there's not enough J.H. Williams layouts in comics today. Let's do all the J.H. Williams layouts with the action.
Good point.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
Look at this stuff.
Yeah, man. I'm looking at the same page, the same layout. Yeah.
I can't. They're batting 1,000 right now. DC is batting 1,000 with these absolute relaunches. I'm very happy with this book.
Yeah. I still don't understand how it's different than any of the other universes that they've introduced or multiverse elements that they've introduced. What makes this different, other than just it's another version of the DC universe, but worse, darker, and more. They have a little bit more adversity. These characters to fight through.
You just answered your own question.
Yeah. But I liked it a lot, and I do like Kelly Thompson. It looks like this is a 1 in 5. Or these aren't miniseries, are they?
No,
are these ongoings?
This must just be the arc.
This arc. Also, have you Gateway City? I've never heard of that city in DC.
I mean, it's a whole new world. So, and yeah, I guess that's what we're a couple weeks away from it. We could spoil it. This is a universe that was blinked into creation by Darkseid's possessing of
the Spectre.
The Spectre. It's just complete. It's like the anti-life equation if it was manifested in the bleed, and it just became this world.
The bleed being the
space between all dimensions, the space between all worlds.
Yeah.
Which is an incredibly high concept, stupid, falutin, comic booky bullshit, but it's giving us 2 really great comics. And I do think that I personally think that they are different enough. Mm-hmm. You're never going to actually truly change. Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a really good thread, and I'll show it to you afterwards, of on Twitter.
Good thread on Twitter? Cool. That's rare.
Someone kind of talking about the differences between the current Ultimate Universe and the first Ultimate Universe, and how like the original Ultimate Universe had 2 modes of thinking associated with it. You had the Bendis and the Miller. The Bendis was, what is the core competency or theme of this character, and how would they react currently? The Miller was, what is the core competency of this character, and how do I flip it?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So far, these are more the Bendis thinking of the Ultimate Universe, where these are the core competencies of the characters, and how do they adjust to different circumstances? Sure. Not, I'm just going to make it edgy and have him murder, or I'm just going to make it edgy and have her come from hell. Right. Like, it seems to still be the sparks of these characters so far, which I prefer.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I dig that. That's cool. This was pretty fresh for me.
I think it was fresh AF.
Fresh AF? Nice.
Yeah, I got a little hype. Honestly, the next 2 books we're going to talk about, I got hype about. The next 2 of 3 books we're going to talk about, I got really hype about. Yeah, man.
Superman, All In. DC presents All In Superman number 19, Legacy issue 862.
Jumping on point.
It really is, honestly. By Joshua Williamson and Dan Mora and Alejandro Sanchez. This is so good. Was this top of the stack? I think it was. This was the first thing I read, mostly because I love All-Star Superman, and I love Dan Mora. And on the cover of this, we have not only a Dan Mora Superman, but a Dan Mora Superwoman. And I was like, that's probably Lois. And so that was the first thing I dipped into because I was very excited about it. I've come a long way from hating Josh Williamson's our writing to now being like, man, he's really good. He's really impressing me. What did you think, Superman 19?
I think writing and storytelling, art too, is a muscle that you flex. And the more you flex it, the stronger you get. I read older stuff from Joshua Williamson from like 5-10 years ago, some of his Image stuff, and there are like Nailbiter and Ghosted and Birthrights.
Birthright.
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah.
Stuff that's got amazing ideas and concepts, but there's just something 10 to 15% missing to like lose my interest or feel like it's not like it's a fine read, but it's not a necessary read.
Yeah.
But over the last 2 or 3 years at DC, as he's getting more and more like confidence and clout, his shit's pretty damn solid.
Yeah, man.
I'm very like I've been sampling him the whole time. I did not like his Flash run. I did not like Crisis on
Dark Crisis
on Infinite Earth. But I liked it enough. I liked the ideas in it. I liked it enough. I liked what he was going for. Something just coalesced with Superman.
Yeah, man.
Like this shit just works.
This Superman has been a really good
And
run. If you guys haven't read this Superman, check it out.
I would take a bullet for Dan Mora's work, but
I would let you.
Yeah,
I would sacrifice you for Dan Mora.
You'd throw me in front of Dan Mora to take a bullet. Yeah,
That's
that
right.
makes perfect sense. There are like fire reveal, like straight. Some of the reveals in this are straight fire. Like I having been reading for the last like gajillion years, we this includes The End of All Time and The Time Trapper.
I've never heard of The Time Trapper.
Are you kidding? No, you have. You
kidding?
absolutely have.
You
absolutely have. And I'll tell you where you have.
Okay.
He's a Legion of Superheroes villain.
Oh.
There was a Jeff Johns, the Legion of Three Worlds during Final Crisis.
Yes.
He was the main baddie, and then it was softly revealed or suggested that it's actually a Superboy Prime at the end of time.
Oh.
Because he can't die and he keeps coming back in some weird fucking ways.
Yeah. Is he still a prick at the end of time? I mean, he's trapping time.
I mean, he's a bad guy. So
Okay.
We don't redeem him.
Okay.
We're good.
Good. He pushed someone's mask through their head. So yeah.
But yeah, and this kind of turns all of that on its head in like such weird effing ways, and I loved it.
Yeah.
This was so cool, and we get a nasty ass version of Doomsday, nastier than I remember seeing.
Well, also works really well because I guess the last thing that happened was he went to hell. He died and went to hell or something.
Is that a Doomsday thing? Where he just wherever he dies, he gets resurrected with like almost like a Solomon Grundy.
His whole thing is to whatever kills him, he resurrects, but is no longer to be able to be killed in that way again. He evolves past that way of death.
So I guess we don't get Hellfire.
This was great.
I love this book. This was fresh AF,
and it's gorgeous. Look at this.
It's a wonderful book. The fact that Dan Mora, not only is he fast enough to do 2 monthlies, which he's going to be doing the Justice League Unlimited book,
crazy,
but they're gorgeous,
phenomenal.
They're so good.
Is he inking this too?
I don't know.
Artist. He's
does it all.
Inking it too.
He does it all digital, so
How?
he's just quick. I don't know.
Dang it!
Look how just the first.
Yep.
Spread.
All the flames.
What the hell, man?
Get out of here.
Do you think his lead time is like 4 years?
It must be. It's the only way he can get all this done. Also, I love Superwoman and the relationship, and I want to see. I hope that doesn't go away soon. I love that.
I love it too. So like the end of Absolute Power, apparently everyone's power was restored, but some was displaced or misplaced.
Cool idea too.
Yeah,
that was cool.
So like I think they also alluded to like Plastic Man now feels pain, or he has a different.
That does
not feels pain. He has like a different power set or something. Oh, and Black Canary has laser vision instead of
really.
Yeah, something like that.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, they swapped a couple of things for the purposes of books, but this is the only one. This is the one.
I forgot that this is how she got her powers. I thought there was another reason because he's like, he mentioned something about like, and by the way, how you got these powers. But I guess that tracks with that too. Like they just showed up in her body, and you don't know how long it's going to be in there.
And it may be more. Like they were nebulous enough about it to wonder if there's a different story.
Yeah.
Like this is a a smash cut intro issue. So like we don't really get background context. Just it literally does smash cut with the end of time. This is a great book.
God damn it.
DC's crushing it this week. You want to talk about a DC book real quick?
So, yes. So, Cy Spurrier is a writer that I like because he's doing the Lord's work, the devil's work on Hellblazer. He has rejuvenated that character for me in that he is writing it in the way that I remember from Vertigo. There's 300 issues of John Constantine Hellblazer, and then they rebooted him and they put him in the New 52 DC universe, and he just felt very different. And this new version is very, very much in line with the old version. He is currently writing The Flash. This is issue 14, all in, legacy issue 814. And I'll tell you what, I was really excited for Cy Sperrier to be writing The Flash because I like him as a writer. And I was not tickled to find out who was drawing the beginning of this.
Deodato.
Deodato.
Oven mitts fingers, Deodato.
Oven mitts fingies, yeah. And he drew this
panel,
cover too.
Every panel
is 900 panels.
88 panel Deodato.
So I was like, whatever. But hey, look, The Flash, all in. I'm a big Flash guy. I love Wally West. I'll tell you what, this is really good.
Yeah,
this is really good. I really like this. This is more in line with like the Joshua Williams and Superman that we really liked. This is a guy I do not know. Flipping.
I see Green Arrow and a dinosaur.
Simon Spurrier, Vasco Georgiev.
Okay.
Yeah, Vasco Georgiev.
Good old Vasco.
Very much, way more cartoonier.
I think that fits with the Flash, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
The way he draws bodies is a little strange.
Like this wouldn't fit with Batman, but it sure shit would fit with Superman or the Flash or yeah.
We're introduced to a new costume for Wally.
Oh.
Still not sure.
Oh.
Still not sure about it.
Oh, I'm very not sure.
We knew this was coming because of the Justice League Unlimited cover by Dan Mora, where we see Wally down here, and he's got a different costume. I'll tell you, drawn by Dan Mora, looks great. Drawn here, it's fine. I'm not sure.
I don't know if you remember the post-Snyder, I guess, Rebirth redesign of Batman with the belt that like kind of like goes up and in.
And anytime he would bend at the waist, it would stab him in the gut.
Yeah. But that was like, it looked good when one artist was drawing it.
Yeah.
Every other artist was just like, I don't know how the physics of this shit works.
I also felt similarly about the Flash's costume. Some like Jim Lee drew it. Cool. If some other artist drew like all that piping.
Every single line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's also some piping in here, which I'm not tickled by.
It could grow on me. I mean, it kind of
fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
But yeah, this issue, the story that is presented, and where we leave off, I'm jumping back on the Flash. I should explain why I didn't like the original run by Cy Sperrier. The beginning of this run.
The first
is because
13 issues.
It did not sound anything like Wally West. It sounded like Barry Allen.
Mm-hmm.
This sounds like Wally West. This sounds like Wally and his family. So I'm in. I'm back in on Flash.
I mean, could it be a
pretty fresh?
Is
pretty Flash?
Is the Flash your number 2? Would you go like Spider-Man Flash? Like, what is your?
Oh, who's my number 2?
Yeah, because these are the two characters.
Spider-Man, Constantine, Flash.
Okay.
I'm a big Wally fan.
Okay.
Been reading him since the 80s. So yeah, if you like me had given up on the Cy Sperrier Flash, number 14, good jumping on point. Do it. Ooh, so last week was the last issue by Tom Taylor on his Nightwing run, which will go down in history, my history, as one of the best Nightwing runs. And
Agreed.
I'm very excited for an omnibus to collect that whole schlemizel.
And this week is the beginning of his Detective Comics run. Or sorry, Batman in Detective Comics. Sorry, DC All In presents Batman in Detective Comics number 1090 with art by Mikel Janin.
I'll tell you, I immediately missed Bruno Redondo.
Oh, I like Mikel Janin.
I like Mikel Janin. I mean, he's grown on me.
Yeah,
but Bruno Redondo was bringing some next level ish to Nightwing.
But I agree. But I also think that is very specific to Nightwing.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would be the same book here.
It's a little bit more whimsical than Mikel Janin.
This legitimately has no sense of humor, which is, I think, appropriate.
Yeah.
This was a very, very pretty book. It's a very, very, very interesting setup.
I like the morality questions.
I really dig this bit. This, for better or worse, this feels like the first issue of Hush. In so much as it's current day, but we're introduced to a whole new character that has explicit ties to his past and their status. They have like interesting status, and then it becomes a question.
Right.
And then we get like a reveal I don't know if I like at the end.
Real
about his origin, Batman's origin. I don't know if I like it. We'll see where it goes.
I was like, oh,
I like
cool.
it. I like it as a weird little short story reveal.
Okay.
As the opening salvo of a history we didn't know about, I don't care for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right? Like, because it has to do. There's a lot of flashbacks here, and there's a moral quandary in regards to the Hippocratic Oath. Batman's father, Thomas Wayne, took an oath. Bruce did not.
Yeah.
But he still follows said oath of his father.
Yeah.
So where are the lines and where's the blur? It's really, really interesting.
Let me ask you this: the way that Tom Taylor writes Batman, how do you feel about the characterization and the presentation of the character of Batman?
I love it.
Way of
Actually, like he gives him a. He's very taciturn without being standoffish.
Mm-hmm.
He feels like a man who feels older than he is.
they actually specifically
That's like the main plot.
acknowledge it. Like one of
Yeah.
the things they say, it makes it almost sound like they're talking about the Kingdom Come Batman.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, he's just been doing this for a while.
Yeah, he's like a perp gets away and he puts a tracker on him. He's just like, I'm not going to catch him by foot because I have no cartilage in my knees.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
Oracle's
no,
like, you've had more knee surgeries than something. Every
yeah.
the other. Yeah.
Then he's had knees.
That's
Yeah.
Because do you feel like it feels like the same Batman that was in Nightwing last week?
No.
Feels different, right?
And I think that's okay.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, if any... Look,
Well, he's not relating to Dick. You got me there.
the conversations I have with you
Yeah.
are different than the conversations I have with my wife.
Yep.
It's different than the conversations I have with the other friend.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
I got there right before you were about to say it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, right. That's because he was dealing with his son.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all different. And
Yeah.
when he's around his son, too, he is lighter with everyone else.
Yeah.
So
I love that.
I
was
think,
listening to... iFanboy is one of the things that got me into podcasting 15 years ago,
They got
however
me
long
back
ago.
into comics.
And I had to stop listening because I was not keeping up with the comics on time. And they would spoil the comics. Hence the reason why we don't spoil the comics here. But I was listening to them yesterday. They have like a 3-hour anniversary episode going on right now. And I've been listening to it. And I wanted to send it to you because they were talking about the difference between Batman of the past 5 years and Spider-Man of the past 5 years. Why they don't like Batman and why they do like Amazing Spider-Man. And I thought it was a really interesting sort of take.
The reasons why... The opposite reasons why we don't. Like why we like Spider-Man, because it feels always timeless, and Batman grows.
Yeah.
And they don't always like them growing. I think it was Connor that doesn't like the idea of John being older. No matter how good the stories are, he's just like, it's just not for me. It's just not for me. I was like, that's fair.
But also, one of the things they were touching on as well was last week's Chris Samnee and Mark Waid Batman and Robin Year One, and also Nightwing, where it's like he kind of smiles. Batman can smile sometimes. Like he's not just the loner that a lot of writers make him out to be. So I'm hoping we get a little bit more of that in this Batman.
Well, I mean, you've always been a sucker for the Bat family in general.
Yeah,
so
more so than Bruce.
Yeah,
for sure.
So him being bounced off of other characters is always cool. But do you understand what I mean by like that? This feels like the beginning of Hush. Like it's a lot of table setting,
Yes.
and then we get like some seemingly no matter how well they're done, some seemingly arbitrary backstory that just comes out of nowhere.
Well, he started his Nightwing off that way as well,
Yeah, I know.
and I think it wound up fine.
Oh no, it totally wound up fine. But because of all the recent announcements, it's just like
The thing with Hush
hushy.
that bothered me, and spoiler for Hush of 20 years ago, is by issue 1, the end of issue 1, I was like, oh, so I guess that's the bad guy? This character who's been Bruce Wayne's best friend this entire time and we've never met until now, and now a villain shows up? I wonder if that's the bad guy. And then I was really disappointed to find out that was the bad guy. But I don't think we're introduced to a new villain in this, are we?
yes, we are.
Oh, are we? Shoot. I read this over a week ago.
And you literally just said all the things that I was thinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll find out.
Yeah, I guess we will.
Hopefully Tom Taylor will handle it better than Jeff Loeb did.
I think Tom Taylor does everything better than Jeff Loeb does.
So good. The Iron Man?
Yeah, let's talk about Iron Man. Iron Man number 1. This is a new launching point. Oh, Legacy number 671. This is by Spencer Ackerman with art by Julius Otto and Alex Sinclair. This is the beginning of the Stark Roxxon War. Now, I know that you have not been reading Iron Man for a while.
Not since I never got to finish Cantwell's run.
So it's 2 runs ago.
Yeah.
That was a good run.
I know.
It was a really good run.
I wouldn't finish it. I like Cantwell.
And then Jerry Duggan took over. That was mostly an X-Men book.
Or Emma. He got married to Emma?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it had one or two arcs itself, but then it just kind of bled into all of the follow-back stuff. But during that, he lost his company by the character Fei Long, who was using it to create Iron Man Sentinels.
Yeah.
So like just
I was wondering how that happened.
Yeah.
Because I've seen in other books that he was building Sentinels, and I was like, that doesn't seem very Starky.
It is not Starky. So this is the aftermath of that. He has his company back, but for the last year, they've been operating with a completely different board.
Yeah.
And it's the beginning of this book, he gets hurt. And he is brutally hurt.
Twice.
And he is bedridden for months to a year.
And
it's nebulous.
I was going to say, it's not really clear. I didn't realize how much, but when he comes out of the hospital, he looks like Robert Downey Jr. at the beginning of Endgame.
Yeah, he's emaciated. He has long hair. He has a big beard. So like it's many weeks later is the beginning of his in-bed journey, and then we go through a bunch of panels of him going through recovery. So like we're talking years. So by the time he finally gets to like, I'm going to work with the board now, they are in the middle of a hostile takeover by AIM and Hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just kind of goes from there. Like they make allusions to this being another Armor's Wars, Tony. It's not Armor Wars, Tony. And he's like, well, it kind of is. I just can't use all my other shit. Yeah. So it sets up this pro-magic or anti-magic.
I didn't realize that he had an anti-magic armor.
That was the last run. Yeah, the Mysterium. Which he mentions a lot. It's actually, that's a great looking suit too. It's designed by Pepe Larraz. It's a really, really pretty looking, cool thing. Yeah, you got to look it up.
You keep going. I want to look this up.
So I really liked the story of this book. I thought it was first of all, it shoots out of the gate. It's very dense. It's a lot of table setting, but I was never really bored. Every time that they bring in a new character,
it's so bulky.
I know, it's
that
great.
Mysterium armor is bulky as hell.
It's so good.
Yeah.
I love it. There was on Twitter, Pepe Larraz shared a bunch of process sketches for it. Oh, so beautiful.
I love Pepe Larraz, man.
Me
He's
too.
so good.
He's a good follow. But I like this story a lot. Where I think this kind of fell apart is the art. I'm not super familiar with Julius Ota. I know that they've been on a couple of books. I'm familiar enough with the name to know, like, oh, I don't hate that. But I'm not familiar, like, I hadn't seen it enough to know that I like it. Like, there is a weird, almost Bobo Derek Robertson aesthetic to this.
Whoa, yeah.
I'm
sorry, I haven't heard Bobo in a long time.
Is that bad?
Bobo is like, you
fake.
had Bobo sneakers, like Bobo Chucks.
Yeah,
like fake
knockoff.
Chucks or like Bobo Adidas.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a problematic origin to that terminology, I'm not aware of it. I just knew that always as knockoffs.
Knockoffs, yeah.
So a knockoff Derek Robertson aesthetic, and I don't even really care for Derek Robertson that much.
Nah.
So this being the aesthetic of a very tech-forward, glossy book, I don't think it works.
Doesn't match.
There's a couple times when they try to incorporate kind of like fun, techie designs into panel layouts or borders on the outside of the book. It's like a little too. It's like lipstick on a pig. It's a little too late. No, not because the pig is ugly, but because the aesthetic of the book does not match what they're trying to do.
I understand.
With the, it's like
it's
like
sounds harsh.
Spray painting a car instead of like getting it primed first. Like it's there's just something not clicking. But I love the story. I love what they're going for. I just don't. The art's not for me.
Yeah, the art's not for me. That was the first thing that turned me off as I flipped through it. I was like, oh, this looks like, you know how I'm reading Chasm?
Yes.
Chasm is like a D tier book. This looks like it should be drawing Chasm, not Iron Man, which is what I consider to be usually a B tier book.
A minus. B plus.
Sure. For me, it's actually a C tier book because I never care about Iron Man stories. We got some cool ones in the 80s. Oops, I'm an alcoholic. Oops, Armor Wars. I guess we'll have another Armor Wars. And ever since then, oh, you know what? There was the one where, like, was that Fraction?
Yeah, I was
Fraction
about, I was
dope.
about to
Fraction was dope.
wildly disagree with you because the Fraction run was dope. The one before that, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., absolutely dope. The Knopf brothers. Those two, there was a really solid run somewhere in there that I already forgot about. I actually really liked Bendis's run too. It's the run that it verged off into.
I'm trying to remember it.
If we forget about Civil War II, just completely erase that from your head.
I'd love to.
The beginning of that Invincible Iron Man run, where he came up with the nanotech suit and he fought tech ninjas, and Madame Mask was a bad guy. It's such a cool run.
All right, don't remember this at all.
And then that bleeds into International Iron Man, where he goes to find out who his real parents are because he was adopted by the Starks.
Right.
And that was its own cool thing. And then he dies, air quotes, and then the book splits to Ironheart, like Invincible Iron Man, Riri Williams,
right.
and then Infamous Iron Man, Doctor
Doom.
And then it verges back. That's a great
Was that all
fucking run.
Bendis?
That was all Bendis.
Damn, dude.
Is
there an Omni of that?
No.
Because it sounds like I want to read that.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's really
cool.
Anyway.
My problem with this book, which I think is barely fresh, is that it feels like retreading old grounds. I just got my my company back from a hostile takeover. Oh man, here comes the hostile takeover. Uh-oh, my armor doesn't work like I want it to. Better build a new armor.
Yeah,
it's just the same. It's
a little retready.
There's several characters that we have discussed that we feel are better on teams. Let's say, or showing up at the end of a book like an oh shit moment. Punisher, Hulk. Mm-hmm. For me, Iron Man being in the Avengers, having him bounce off of Cap, other characters, etc. Carol is more interesting to me. I've never been able to stay on an Iron Man series for too long. It just I get bored. He's just not a character that I am interested in, unless it's played by Robert Downey Jr., in which case he's infinitely watchable.
I think I feel that way about I probably feel that way about Flash.
Sure.
Yeah.
I get it.
I probably feel that way about Flash.
Yeah.
I definitely feel that way about your face. No, Punisher. What are we talking about next?
I'll tell you what.
Here, you know what? Talk about this one.
Should I do this one?
Yeah, talk about that one and then we'll finish with these two.
Spider-Boy, number 12.
Spider-Boy.
Introducing the all-new Spider-Girl.
Spider-Girl.
What? Oh my God. Who saw this coming, everyone? The Boy Without Fear, Chapter 1, The Devil's Due. So I read issue 1, and I was like, oh, that was cute. Dan Slott's back. He's doing some Spidey stuff. That's cute. And then there was some... What was it? Spider-Man... Superior Spider-Man by Dan Slott, and I was so excited about it, and then I was bored. I gave up, and then Spider-Boy came out, and I was like, oh, this is so cool, new character. I'm bored, and then I was like, but hey, look, a new jumping on point because they're introducing all new Spider-Girl, and you know what it is about this book? This is an all ages Spider book, which is kind of great because kids come in all the time and they're asking for all ages books. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, well, some of the Spider-Man stuff is, not all of it, but some of it. Definitely stay away from most of Batman. But this is like, if you've got a kid who's interested in Spider stuff, this is actually a great series for the younger set. This is actually really delightful, really fun. Bailey. Not Beetle Bailey. What's his name? Bailey Briggs. Bailey Briggs is kind of a delightful character, and it's the webless wonder. He doesn't actually have webs. Yeah, this is really fun. If you want to get your kids in the comics and they're interested in like Spider-Verse or Spider-Man, this is really quite fun. I don't like the way that Dan Slott writes Daredevil in this. It feels strange. We find out that, I don't think it's a spoiler, Bailey and Matt have some previous history. So anyone who doesn't know about Spider-Boy, here's what happened, real quick. At the end of Spider-Verse by Dan Slott, during that story, a bunch of different things happened and characters were changed. Peter was a little different.
People's timelines were erased.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And then at the end, everything is back to normal. Mm-hmm. And at the end of that, Spider-Boy shows up and he's like, hey guys, I'm back. And everyone's like, we have no idea who you are. We've never met you before in my life. And he's like, we've had years of adventures. I'm actually your sidekick, Spider-Man. He's like, I would never have a sidekick. What are you talking about? And so this has been an exploration of him reintroducing himself to the Marvel Universe.
It's actually a really dark book about a young boy trying to gain the favor of who he thought was his brother, his older brother, his father figure, and then Peter keeps shunning him.
Yeah.
And finally hits him. Finally punches him. Yeah.
Just beats him.
Just beats him. Yeah. One drunken night, he just fucking lays into Bailey.
Classic Peter, honestly.
And Bailey continues to wear the mask to
hide the bruises.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Because he has to fight his own demons, but he also doesn't want the world to stop trusting Spider-Man.
Yeah.
It's a whole thing. But then we find out it wasn't really Spider-Man. It was actually one of his clones.
Oh, it was Doc.
It was
Doc Ock.
It was Doc Ock, who is a child beater. Anyway, Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles number 3
by Jason
Aaron with art by Cliff Chiang this time. So far we have had
Speaking of dark.
Jesus. Joel Jones, Raphael Albuquerque.
Oh, goddamn.
And Cliff Chiang.
So good. Each one.
So
good.
This is the Leonardo story where he decides to go meditate with flesh-eating turtles.
Yeah.
On an
flesh-eating soft-shelled turtles
in
India.
It is awesome. But much like the other two books, in his solitude or in his journey, he is attacked by the Foot Clan.
What?
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
He's attacked by the Foot Clan and has to go and find out who else they're targeting. So the brothers, separated now for what seems to be about a year, are now forced back into together via violence.
They're not pleased with each other.
No,
it's not a happy reunion.
We don't exactly know all the details of it, but I didn't get a chance to read issue number 2. You had talked about it, so I read 2 and 3 together. 2 was phenomenal with Mikey, and the way that Mikey is a joke and presents himself as a joke, but then realizes, like, holy shit, I did all this without my brothers. They've abandoned me. They're useless. Then they show up and he beats the shit out of them. I was like, this is great.
Self-actualization.
Yeah. And this is that same story from a different perspective, and they converge into each other. What I think is the most impressive thing about these 3 issues so far is they employ different artists, but they are starting to coalesce into each other in a more meaningful way than if this was just linear.
Right.
And I really like that. Jason Aaron seems to be kind of doing the legwork of, I'm going to find each of their voices individually, and then I'll bring them together, as opposed to just all together. Yeah. And I'm loving this book.
I also love how all of the voices are different.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like this... reading this, I'm just like, all right, Leonardo, god damn it, like self-serious, like.
And the panel you have open, I love this one interaction here, double panel Johnsky here. It shows him standing and then them falling.
Yeah.
I loved it, but it took me a minute to realize its emotion. I was like, I wish that bottom panel was a quarter of an inch taller to actually show the difference in the background that they're standing and falling.
Yeah. It's not ninjas standing in front of falling ninjas. It's those same ninjas having fallen.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's what I was just like, oh. Yeah. Or like diagonally. Like I'm
something
dictating his panels. Either way, the way that he uses color and stillness, I love Cliff Chiang's art.
He's so good. Highly recommend. This was Fresh AF. I'm really into this. Hey, real quick. How do you, I understand we're running out of time. How do you feel about the turtles being reincarnated ninjas from a clan?
Well, that was like 10 years ago.
Sure. Yeah. To me, it's new.
Oh, I have no feelings about it.
To me, the turtles have always been their own characters, and to find out that there's reincarnated ninjas.
Well, their spirits are reincarnated. It's not like they were reborn as turtles.
I understand. But yeah.
Like I have no feelings.
You're okay with it?
Yeah,
okay, cool.
Honestly, it doesn't bear any weight whatsoever unless the story is explicitly about it. Yeah. Like these characters, the way that they're written are no different than how we know them or feel them. Yeah. It was really just it seems like a high concept thing that they pull out when they want to, but don't really care about. It's the same thing with like That time that Spider-Man made the deal with the devil.
Ah.
Okay, whatever. Like, it only matters if it's the story you're telling, but it doesn't really do a day-to-day difference.
Yeah. I'm still coming to terms with it. Feels a little different.
Oh, all right.
I'll have some therapy. It'll be fine. I'll work through it.
I mean, you know what? How do you feel about the nature of just souls? And if they exist, because that's what you're gonna have, that's what you're gonna like come to terms with, or have to reconcile with if you're having trouble with the idea of 4 Hamato clan ninjas' souls found bodies
They're into mutant turtles.
Yeah.
The Moon is Following Us, #2 from Image Comics. Daniel Warren Johnson, Riley Rossmo, Mike Spicer. Fresh AF. Get into it. Tell us.
This book is amazing. So it is Daniel Warren Johnson and Riley Rossmo. I think Daniel Warren Johnson wrote it. Riley Rossmo. Oh, no, yeah, Riley Rossmo. They both wrote it.
Yeah.
They're both creators.
Yeah.
We get the rules in this book, in this issue, and the balance between the two artists. So Daniel Warren Johnson is doing the real world. Riley Rossmo is doing the dream world.
Mm-hmm.
The balance is between the artists is more defined, and there's this wonderful panel or this one-page spread where it actually like we see the style change.
Yeah.
I love this.
Me too.
It's just so weird, but also the stakes are so realistic. This is a must-read. Everyone needs to pick up this book in issues. Don't wait. This is phenomenal.
I was a little nervous because in the first issue, most of it, I was like, oh, it's all Rosmo. Like, he's fine. But, like, Daniel Warren Johnson is my dude. Like, I love his art. I love his writing. He surprises me time and again. And I was really disappointed to see, like, oh, Riley Rossmo's going to be drawing? Oh, no, wait. There's more Daniel Warren Johnson. And then Daniel Warren Johnson draws exactly half of this book.
Yeah, and I'm sure next issue will be a little bit of a imbalance. Sure. Like, it'll go back and forth.
But now I've come around. Like, I like these two artists working together is actually quite lovely.
Yeah, and I think DWJ said something about how overall he's going to end up drawing like 20-25% of this book.
Okay.
So it is a bit. It's a Riley Rossmo joint.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, this is phenomenal.
It's hard. Listen, it's hard to talk about this book without spoiling it.
Just get it.
Just jump on it. If you like any Daniel Warren Johnson, do a Powerbomb, Transformers.
Well, all of Daniel Warren Johnson's books are like high concept log lines. So this one would be parents travel into the world of dreams to save their comatose child.
Yeah.
And it's literal.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's great.
They even put science behind the comatose, which air quote science.
Yeah.
Comic is, but I was just like, God damn it, this
is awesome.
Yeah, fresh AF.
Get on it.
Really quickly, is there anything else you're looking forward to this week?
I got to finish The Power Fantasy by Kieran Gillen. I'm finding out that this book might be better in trade. I find myself being like, wait, what was happening?
I'm sorry. Did you?
It's very dense.
Are you talking about The Wicked and Divine? Are you talking about Die? Are you talking about
every
single one of his books other than Once and Future that I...
Once and Future, I was going to say.
That's the only book I didn't struggle with in issues and preferred in trade. Anyway, the only thing I'm really looking forward to, I mean, there's tons of stuff I'm looking forward to, but I think it's worth noting The Sacred Damned. This is a one-shot, a part of the Horizon experiment, which I'm learning is a Image Comics initiative, 5 one-shots, all... supernaturally here's the description. One of them is a Chinese James Bond, a Muslim John Constantine, a family of werewolves in East Africa, an Evil Dead for black nerds, and a reverse Indiana Jones. These are the 5 one-shot stories with hope to maybe continue each of them. It's like this experiment by Pornsak Pinchot.
Yeah.
The first issue, I read half of it. I didn't get a chance to finish it, but it was so cool so far. Yeah. This is just such a cool idea, and people that like one-shots or anthology books, this is just a long-form version of it. I think it's really dope.
Yeah, I'll check that out.
Yeah.
All right. This week on the show, we are talking about...
we're going to be talking about the Blair Witch Project 25th anniversry.
The trilogy.
And all of the other sequels. Yeah. We're going to talk about the Blair Witch Project.
So check us out. Live streaming Wednesday night at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
YouTube.
And if you don't catch it,
Twitch.
You can just catch it later. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. But we'll talk at you guys later.
Love you.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the CultPop Network, home to podcasts, live shows, and a whole lot of fun stuff for every flavor of fan. Follow us wherever you find your favorite podcast, and be sure to join us live every Wednesday night at youtube.com/CultPopGo at 8 p.m. Eastern. While you're there, be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon so you'll know when we drop new Thunder Rounds and episodes of Fresh Floppies, a spoiler-free show about single-issue comics released each week. Until then, we'll talk at you later.